What is up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the real of reality TV. I was just thinking about this because I did see a little bit of Carlos and Dr. Heavenly's, talking about Keke and her passing and grieving and mourning and whatever. And I just wanted to share my thoughts, for a few moments, because I'll be honest, it's possible that it could happen and I wouldn't fault them if they did. But do you think that Keke's family may have considered possibly looking into their options about suing Carlos King, the OWN Network, Love and Marriage Huntsville, for hostile work environment? Listen, I talk about this and honestly, I didn't think about it just in light of only Keke and her passing and her being on this show, but I'm just thinking back to the history that at least I know of when it comes to Carlos. Carlos, he loves to brag about his experience in reality TV and all of the different shows that he's worked on, all of the different people that he's worked with, but I rarely hear him talk about the things that have been extremely controversial, from the likes of him being on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, being dismissed, him allegedly having something to do with Phaedra, Kandi, and the Portia triangle. Maybe we could call it a twa situation, where it was alleged that Kandi and her husband actually were going to drug Portia, get her inebriated, bring her to their sex dungeon to have their way with her. And I recall back when Carlos was working with Kandi's husband, Todd, on Hollywood Divas, which is a show that I watched when it used to come on the TV One network. I believe it had 3 seasons. The first 2 seasons had Elise Neal, the actress. And I believe maybe sometime during the second season, a light fixture fell on Elise Neal's head. I don't believe Carlos had the proper insurance for that, and he lost out on a whole lot because she was due to be compensated for her injuries. It was probably some type of workers' comp insurance that he was supposed to have and he didn't have. And so I don't think he and Todd were working together after that. So to know that situation happened, allegedly, and then Carlos allegedly is putting these things out there for Phaedra and Portia, because they were in on it together, Phaedra and Portia. Portia was not an innocent victim, but alleging that Kandi, who is Todd's wife, who Carlos used to work with at one point in time for the Hollywood Divas project. I believe they may have also worked on the next 15, which was another reality show that starred Claudia Jordan, Jennifer Williams, Tiffany New York Pollard, Kwame, I think his name is Kwame Jackson, was it? Or I could have the name wrong. Lord. Karamo, not Kwame. It's early, guys. Karamo Brown or Karamo Jackson. Sorry if I have the name wrong. But he was on The Real World one season. And Laura Govan, who is Gilbert Arenas' baby mama. She used to be on the Basketball Wives show. And Jennifer Williams, who also used to be on Basketball Wives. And ironically, Al Reynolds, I think, was on a couple of episodes as Jennifer's friend, I believe. Not so much Claudia's friend. And later on, Claudia and Al were supposed to be friends, and now they hate each other. But anyway, I digress. This isn't about them. But Carlos was allegedly all up in that when it comes to Elise Neal being hurt. And so Todd wasn't working with him anymore. And then Carlos had something to do with Todd and Candy and these allegations about them trying to do something to Portia. Think about that. You've got Winter, who was on Love and Marriage DC, who pretty much came out and flat out said that Love and Marriage DC was a toxic, hostile work environment and blames Carlos for that, rightfully so if it was. And then we already know what type of environment that Love and Marriage Huntsville has been. 100% extremely toxic. I don't even gonna lie. To me, Love and Marriage Huntsville seems way more toxic and ratchet than even Love and Hip Hop was for any franchise, because I mean, it's like we kind of expected that out of these people. The fights, the ratchetness, all of that stuff, whether it was Atlanta, New York, Hollywood, all of them. But you hear more toxicity coming out of Love and Marriage Huntsville based on these real life situations of this terrible person who was married to this woman for all of the years that he was married to her and has done everything that he could to try to destroy her public image and her character and her life, in my personal opinion, because she chose not to stay. And Carlos, he said that he would always protect Melody, and I don't believe that he has really done that. And I don't believe that Keke benefited from Carlos in the way that she was portrayed on the show. People can say Melody's name all day, every day, as far as Keke is concerned, and to me, it won't sway my opinion of, I just believe that Melody really didn't have anything to do with that. I know that some people feel like, well, she's keeping Coleslaw off of the show. She's keeping Wanda off of the show. But I'll be honest with you. I personally feel that Carlos has been somewhat sneaky when it comes to Melody and not so much protecting her, but used her more so and wanted to make it seem like he has been 10 toes down for her. Because when he started his podcast tour and he was having her as his first guest and in a stop in Huntsville, I believe he did that because he knew that the tickets were going to sell out because she has a very large following and diehard fan base. So he knew that ultimately it was going to work out for him financially. And so, yeah, I feel like that was something that was more beneficial for him than it was for her. Because if it was about her, why would he have brought Sonny and Moses out on the stage to talk negatively about Destiny and talk about their relationship? Like, that was messy, you know? So I personally don't believe that Melody has a whole lot of say when it comes to Keke either being on the show or being dismissed from the show. She may have been able to give, you know, I think this person may be a good fit for the show. I think this person could be a good fit for the show. But I believe that she has been definitely involved in a toxic work environment, because to hear the things that Stormy's mother has said about this woman, and apparently hasn't ever really liked her, has been in some Facebook hate groups talking about Melody negatively, and then your daughter comes on the show and like, it's just weird. So I personally feel that anyone trying to link Melody for Keke's mindset not being in a good place and feeling rejected, I personally don't see it that way. And the reason I don't is because for all of these seasons, we've just seen too much of Melody trying to rise above the negativity that she's been involved in with the marriage that she was in for so many years. But ultimately, when people would bring stuff to her, or she would see someone in a different light that was doing some things that she saw sneaker underhanded, and because she's gone through one of the worst betrayals, being married to someone having sex with someone, trying to please someone that you married, trying to be their any and everything, and to know that this person betrayed me, like, who can you really trust? So the moment she starts to see something or see, some implications within someone, them doing something that would cause her to pause, to think differently and have to separate herself, I just believe that her situations have been more for prevention and protection versus trying to just berate someone or put them down or use them up and then discard of them. I don't see that. But everyone has a right to their opinions. It doesn't mean that theirs is right. And honestly, it doesn't mean that mine is right either. I'm just sharing my opinion about what I feel, because I also think some people don't really get it, because when you've been married for a long time, that person you believe is the person that is looking out for you, supporting you, taking care of you. So when that person hurts you in such a huge public way, your trust goes out the window for almost everyone. For almost everyone. But even in that final scene that Keke had on the show, which I only saw that scene on social media maybe a couple of weeks after it aired, because I'm not watching that show anymore. I refuse to contribute to the ratings. When I saw it, everyone, they see things differently. What I saw was someone who is always on guard, meaning Melody, and just having to be in a place where it's like, I cannot have somebody in my space and in my circle that I don't feel that I can trust. But she didn't say, like her own cousin said, "You're DEAD to me." She said, "I wish you well." But I feel like some people, they want to discard that, dismiss it, and act like that was not said, and try to equate what Melody did say to be on the same level as what Tisha said. So it's amazing to me how people want to give Tisha grace because that's her cousin, and people in families, they fight all the time. No, I'm sorry. People in families don't always say this person is DEAD to me, and because they threw water in my face and they were disrespectful of my marriage and talking to the ops like that, I heard somebody say that, then they don't exist to me anymore. They're DEAD to me. That's not typical. That's not normal. Yeah, you may not talk to them, but to say that, no, that does not happen all the time. So I don't agree with that. But to try to relate and equal what Melody said about, I just can't have someone that I can't really trust in my space and in my inner circle, but I wish you well on your journey, to what Tisha said, she's DEAD to me. No, I'm not having it. And this is coming from the mouth of someone who is not a millimeter. And I hate to keep saying that because it really does not matter. But I feel like sometimes when I share my commentary, because I'm just sharing my thoughts, my views, and my opinions about what I see that's out there, because I'm saying what I'm saying, then that means that, oh, you're just a millimeter. No, I'm not. I've had plenty of people that have commented in my comment section and say, look, I'm not a millimeter either, but I 100% agree with you. Right is right. This is that. That is this. And that's it. But sometimes people feel like they have to preface something before they say what they feel, because if you don't preface it by saying that first, then people are going to think what they're going to think regardless. Seriously. But I really wanted to talk about all of this because the hostile work environment, I would not doubt if the family would seek legal counsel to see what their options are with regards to this. Because if she indeed was targeted by that therapist, because I heard a little bit about that when they went on that Houston trip, and if she indeed was targeted by that therapist, if she indeed was told that you absolutely have to be on the cash trip, but they made it out to be like she was asking if she could go, and then she got, shunned or pushed out or iced out while she was there, and she's already going through a lot internally, mentally, emotionally, and whatnot, absolutely it could be cause for litigation for a hostile work environment. I 100% say that from the space of being a former legal assistant, and I've seen people sue for less and get a whole lot more. Period. So if I were her family, her immediate family, not the Scotts, not the Moores, if I were her immediate family, I definitely would look at my options. Because to hear Wanda going online, tearing down Keke's mom, saying the things that she said about this woman's mother, about the woman's uncle who put that statement out there. If Keke is no longer here and you all went to the funeral to pay your quote unquote final respects, then why do you have to, after she's been buried, go on these rants to disparage her mother? It's really none of our business what type of relationship she had with her mother. Ultimately, that's her mother. And that's extremely disrespectful. I don't think Wanda would want anyone going online if Tisha were to pass away, and after she's dead and buried, people to go online and talk about how terrible she was as a mother. Because there are people already saying that right now, but after she's gone, then what's the point of doing that? It's just a lot. But I do feel that Carlos has been extremely unpresent when it comes to his own productions that I believe are failing. And I talked about that a lot before. When it comes to Love and Marriage Huntsville, it's not a flex to say that that's the number one show on the OWN network. What are you comparing it to? There's really not much else there. Reruns of Dr. Phil, Super Soul Sunday with Oprah doing these boring interviews with Deepak Chopra and whoever else she's talking to, some author of some book that we've never heard of and probably will never read, just being honest. And then the other Love and Marriage shows that she's had. Like, who cares? That's not a flex, you know? But when he sees the ship sailing, he is the captain of the ship. The captain is supposed to go down with the ship, but no, he's the captain that jumps off and abandons the ship with everybody else on it. And he's got his life jacket on and the lifeboat, and he is making sure that he gets to shore. So what he's doing, in my personal opinion, is he sees the sinking ship. So he's just looking out for himself. He's grown as a blogger, even though he doesn't want to be labeled as a blogger. He's doing all of these different interviews. He's doing his podcast tour. He has another show that has now started coming on the OWN network that I have not watched. I probably don't plan on watching it, called something about Texas, something about Houston real estate, something like that. I personally would not be mad at Keke's widower and children if they were to file suit against Carlos, against the OWN network and the Love and Marriage Huntsville, show for hostile work environment contributing to her mental demise. I would do it. Because if there was some contract that Keke signed saying that she wouldn't sue anybody, well, her husband and her children didn't sign any contract saying that they wouldn't sue. So I'd definitely go for it. So if I were them, I would definitely seek my options. So I just wanted to talk about that briefly, guys. And I just feel that Carlos really does not create a safe atmosphere when it comes to the things that he has been doing in the reality world. And I don't care if I have no desire to be on TV, but if I were one of those people that were really hungry to get on TV and reality TV, I'd definitely think twice about reaching out to Carlos. So for those who reached out to him and thought you had something greenlit and it didn't work out, that prevention is definitely, I feel like, God's protection. So be happy. So anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. You can let me know yours in the comments. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.